Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Transwest Truck Trailer RV here in Frederick, Colorado. If you guys aren't familiar with this area, we're about 35 minutes north of Denver. So a nice area right off of I-25. And today we're going to be going over a used 2020 Winnebago Navion. This is the D floor plan. It's in impeccable shape. It's like pretty much like a cream puff, under 18,000 miles. So if you guys are interested in a nice clean used unit, go ahead and tune in with me. We're going to do a walk around the outside first and then we'll end off on the inside. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, sliding on over here, we just have our Cooper tires and our nice rims here. They're the Alco. Sliding up, we have our nice bigger truck style mirrors with the blinker on the inside. Winnebago running board as you step into your passenger side. And then we'll work our way up to here. We have that bunk over cab, nice aerodynamic cab as well. It is all one piece, so you don't have to worry about any leaks. And then you do have a nice little window up there on either side, so you can get some kind of cross breeze storage. Flow, sorry. And then as we work our way over here, we have our awning, so that carefree awning with the LED light in it as well. Pretty heavy duty door here with a nice little cubby. You can use it for trash cans, leashes, anything like that. That's going to help with the wind noise. And into our first storage bay here. Nothing too crazy, but you do have some charging if needed, and then a hole here cut out. So if you wanted to go ahead and slinky through those wires so you can keep that bay door locked, you can go ahead and do so. Got the dualies in the back. I do have our generator running, so as we're working our way towards the back, you'll slowly start hearing it. Our exhaust for the chassis is going to be right here at that front of that tire, and then we have our Suburban up here, so the exhaust. And sliding on over, we have our Truma, so our tankless water heater. That's where your filter will go. It makes it nice and easy to winterize the unit as well. In our bay compartment here is where our generator is. Now it's getting a little louder that I opened it. You have the Onan QG. This is the 3600 LP generator. I'm not exactly sure how many generators are on there, hours are on there. So if you guys are interested or you have that question, just feel free to reach out to me and I can kind of figure that out for you. But you do have a nice little propane connector too if you wanted to connect a barbecue. And then our last bay here with some spare parts from the previous customer that they left for the future customer that's interested. Another nice little storage compartment here, which is also accessible from the inside. This is going to be in our rear bathroom. So I'll show you that when we get on the inside too. It's just kind of nice that you have two different angles where you can kind of access the things back here. All right. Sliding all the way back to our rear, we'll go ahead and start at the top. That's where we have our AC. It's the 15,000 BTU AC with a heat pump. And then we also have two solar panels up there. I'm drawing a blank on the wattage. It's 115 watts of solar. And then we have that ladder, so in case you need to kind of go up there and check anything out, brush off snow, just do your yearly servicing and making sure everything is good up there, you do have the ladder, which is nice and accessible to you. We have our backup camera and then the window, which is a nice lighting option for that bathroom as well. Sliding down here, we have that hitch, which is a 5,000-pound towing capacity with our brake connector here, so you can go ahead and for those brake lights on a tow vehicle if you'd like to tow. And then as we slide over, we're going to go ahead and open up our first driver's side bay. And this is going to be where our 30-amp shore power cord is, and then also our exterior shower nozzle here. As you can see, you can go ahead and set the temperature to your liking, and you can also turn it on and off here so you're not wasting any of that fresh water capacity, which is going to be 30 gallons. And then you have your gray waste tank drain as well as that black waste where you go ahead and dump down here. Go ahead and connect the slinky. And then you have everything's nice and laminated for you, so you can have your water pump controller in there too. And then it kind of gives you a nice little rundown for winterizing. Directly above that, we just have our black waste tank flush inlet, so you can go ahead and keep those black tanks nice and clean. Here's just for the portable water only. It is locked, but you just have a nice little access point there for that. And Another storage compartment here. Again, they're nice and plastic in there, so it's easy to clean if anything spills or gets a little dirty. And then we have our big propane tank here. That's going to be a total of 18 gallons. Whoop. All right. Our first glimpse of the inside, so you do have the Primera upgraded seats. It's going to be that leathery material, makes it a little lighter so it doesn't get as hot. And then you do have the electric lumbar here. The seats do swivel. And then your 24.5 gallon diesel fuel tank is located right here. When you have that door closed, it's always locked, so you don't have to worry about that. Another thing I wanted to point out, just because it's easier in this angle, that you do have the HWH computerized leveling jacks here. So if it's ever beeping at you, typically they're going to be back there, but this one is up front, so I just wanted to point that out, that you do have that option. And we'll go ahead and pop the hood briefly to kind of take a look at that. And then right after, we'll take our first steps inside. Alrighty, so this is the 3-liter 6-cylinder 188 horsepower turbo diesel engine. Again, it's on that Mercedes-Benz chassis. It's the 7G tonic auto transmission. It does have all advanced safety features as far as active brake assist and lane keeping assist. It does have the MBUX touchscreen for the infotainment system, so that's going to have the interactive voice interface, so you can go ahead and answer phone calls, Wi-Fi hotspot, and more. And one little thing I did want to point out as well, it does have the hydraulic brakes with the ABS. Right over here is just going to be your DEF fill, and then you have your coolant, your oil, and then the windshield wiper fluid is going to be right over there. But everything is accessible to you. And now we'll go ahead and just close that up so you can get a nice front face picture right before we head on in. Alrighty, I know I kind of already went over the door for you guys, but I just wanted to point out this little latch here is where your batteries are. You get two deep cycle 31, group 31 RV batteries, which will be in here. And then a few things that I wanted to point out too before we enter the inside. We just have our battery disconnect and then our step override. So if you don't want the steps to kind of close every single time you close the door, you go ahead and keep it in this position. And then we have our awning controllers, one for the light and then one to retract. All right. Okay. Just wanted to take like a nice little brief overview while the slide is in, just so you can kind of see how much room you actually have, so you could still access the bathroom back there. Your refrigerator, you'll be able to open that up while they're closed. You still have your nice couch here. This is the Murphy bed style. If you guys aren't familiar with that, with the D floor plan, that is what it has for you. And then this other option here that will turn into a bed. So a lot of people kind of point out like, oh, what are the bed options when the slide is closed? This is a great option, as well as the bunk over cab is a great option as well. If you kind of just wanted to pull over and take, have some rest, some shut eye for a few hours to kind of give yourself a little bit more energy before you start heading down your adventures. But we're going to have vinyl flooring as well as the soft touch vinyl ceilings. We have our laminate countertops, our nice kind of, they're not flat faced, but the shiny gloss for our cabinets that kind of are bowed out to give it a little bit more luxurious feel, as well as our little buttons here to kind of keep those locked. All right, I do have to turn on the chassis in order to open up that slide, so I'm gonna do that really quick. It is gonna scream at me just because of those leveling jacks. So just mind that for a second. So we're gonna turn our chassis on, make sure our park brake is engaged, and then we will head back over here so we can open up that full wall slide. Another reason why I love this floor plan is just because once this slide is completely open, it really feels more so like a Class A. It doesn't feel like you're in a Class C. It just makes a lot of space. And then of course, because of all the sleeping options as well. Perfect. now that that is nice and open, I'm just gonna turn off that chassis so we don't have that beeping in the background anymore. All right, perfect. Now let's just go ahead and start in the back here. Slowly turn on the lights. Beautiful. I'm just gonna go ahead and step in the shower. I always love stepping in the shower just because it doesn't bow. That shower pan doesn't bow once you step in it. Winnebago does a great job of making sure they keep a nice, stable, hard surface underneath you. That's just gonna help with the longevity of the shower pan as well. And then you do have this nice little bar here. It is removable, so if you wanted to hang anything, any wet gear at the beach and want it to air dry, you have that option to hang it, or you could just take it off. And then having this little skylight here too kind of helps give yourself a little bit more headroom. I'm 5'7", so as you can see, I still have a substantial amount of headroom in here if needed. This shower curtain is nice and magnetic, and it's also self-cleaning, so once it gets wet, it's like a little mini squeegee, and it will just take all that water off, so you don't have to worry about any mildew or anything like that. Love that it's self-cleaning. Here is the window I was telling you about. Everything will have nice little curtains here, just standard curtains, and then you can go ahead and anchor this down and tie it if you'd like. But it does have another little latch down here, so if you wanted to keep the sun out while you're driving down the road, it will have a little bit of a sway, a rattle, but you do have the option of latching it down right there. Moving on over to our medicine cabinet here, again with the same little push buttons. We can go ahead and open it. You have a few little cubbies there. Some extra little hanging hooks from the previous customers, as well as the Winnebago. People use that for a nice little towel hook as well. And then you have your Truma AquaGo. That's where you will be turning it on and off when you're ready to use that hot water. And then you can go ahead and turn on that water pump. And moving on to nice below storage underneath that sink. If you needed to, you can add some additional shelves, kind of get some organization. I mean, that's something that I would do. And then you do have some charging right here. Throughout the whole coach, you will have 12 volt as well as 110. And then your toilet paper holder, of course, I always like pointing that out just so you kind of know where it is located. Sometimes you'll have them in here or sometimes outside. So that one's in a nice front face area. And then you have the pocket door. Closes it and it locks when it does fasten. I shouldn't say lock, fastens when you have it all the way out. This is kind of an awkward angle for you guys, but this is where I was showing you guys that storage cubby. So this just removes itself, and that's where you can kind of get into that storage outside. But this is your closet area, and it's where your secondary table is if needed. And then of course you have your fan up here, which is battery operated, and it does have the rain sensor in it. All right, one thing too that's in the bathroom is your controller for the bed. I just wanted to kind of point that out so you know where it is. It's kind of awkwardly in here, but that's your bed controller, and that's where we'll be moving on to next. So I just wanted to point that out. One thing I like to do before, and I feel like everybody should do because you don't ever want to sit on it and forget, is just make sure you're popping out these legs. They automatically lock themselves in place, and then you can go ahead and hit this button to retract it down. Fairly simple. All right, you still have a little bit of room here on each side of the bed. I get a lot of customers coming in asking about, oh, like how can I keep the bedding on there? And honestly, you can pretty much keep a fitted sheet, a regular sheet, and depending on how thick you want that comforter, you can kind of work with it. I say just tuck it in that fitted sheet so it kind of stays in place instead of all falling down, but it's just something that you're gonna have to figure out what works best for you. You do have charging on either side for each person here, so you can charge your electronics while you're sleeping or have anything plugged in. I like this nice little ledge as well as the window, just in case you don't want to run that AC, or you're in a campground that doesn't have hookups and you can't run your generator, then you can kind of open up all those windows. All right. Another thing that's kind of tucked away when that bed is up is some more storage. So I would kind of keep bedroom items or stuff that you won't really need to use all the time when the bed is tucked away, but you do have some additional storage there. And then you have nice little reading lights. I just want to double check that there isn't any other controllers under there. So it's just the 2 reading lights. All right. Now the beauty of this floor plan is right now it kind of seems a little tight and crowded around the bathroom, but once you are no longer sleeping, then you can go ahead and just retract it up and get all that space back. And then also, once the bed's tucked away, I love that it duals as a couch. Super easy to kind of have kiddos take a nap here, or you just to lounge around. And you're not stuck to sitting in the booth dinette, because that's not always the most comfortable. So I love how this kind of duals as a couch. And then that table that we seen that was in the closet back here, you just put the leg in, and then you have a nice little table here where you can have it sideways or you can have it long ways while you're watching TV, playing cards, just making it nice and comfy. All right, I don't want to miss anything, so we're just going to jot back right over here and look at some more storage space that we have. We just have a shelf and then our drawers, 3 drawers, and they're not interchangeable, so you have to keep it at the same height here. And below here, it looks like a bunch more storage, but honestly, you only just have 1 cubby, and then it's going to be just your breakers and your fuses. All right, now we'll work ourselves back up here. We'll talk about that solar. So as I mentioned, you have 2 of the 115 amp solar panels up there that are actively charging right now and holding our battery capacity at a 13.6 volts. And then right over here, we have our one place. This is where you would turn on that LP generator. So right now it is on, and that's how I'm able to have my AC on. You can also flip through and go to your water pump, tank levels, as well as the battery level. Here is our slide out controller. So that's what I use to kind of bring out that slide. And as we keep working our way down here, we're going to enter the kitchen area. This is another third highlight of why I like this floor plan, because you get a phenomenal amount of counter space here. And then also having the flexibility of not being stuck completely to a true induction and not being stuck to a propane. So if you are going to be doing a lot of boondocking, this kind of gives you the upper hand to use either your propane or to use your battery power. You do have 2 storage spots up above here. And this one though, you do have your holding tank heater, so that is awesome for winter traveling. You can go ahead and turn that on. It's just like a nice little heating pad for your tanks to keep them nice and warm, so you don't have to worry about any freeze damage. And then you have your max air. This is going to be for your fans. And then this is just a nice little key fob here, so you can go ahead and retract or extend your awning with just a nice little clicker, so you don't have to come in here to do that. And then you just have your Xantrax, which is a 2,000 watt inverter. All right, glass splash guard here for any of the cooking. We have our TV here. Honestly, I can never unlatch this, but you have a nice paper towel holder back here, and it actually still has paper towels from the previous customer, but just something I wanted to mention. I could never unlatch it. I just always fight with it, so we're just gonna mention it instead of you watching me struggle a little bit. Right over here is just that next storage up above. We have our big beautiful kitchen window that slides open in the same exact little blinds here. Another great thing about this floor plan is like one of the biggest sinks. Nice little covers here. Besides the microwave and these are going to be probably the 2 biggest culprits when it comes to rattling when you're going down the road. So I personally always take these out, or I'll just put a towel in between so it doesn't jiggle as much. And then more storage below here with some extra accessories and whatnot from the previous customer. And sliding down here, we have our microwave. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind, but I would prefer it down here than up there, kind of taking up some storage. So you do have the convection microwave. It has a grill feature, micro grill feature, so you can kind of play around with that to see what you like best. And this is a part for that convection. And then we have 3 more drawers and other miscellaneous accessories that the previous customer left behind. Alrighty, moving on over to the big booth dinette. One feature I do like, just because this is a really big area to kind of have families sit down and play cards, but you do have another option here because the TV's right here, so you can go ahead and prop up your feet and relax, watch a movie if it starts raining or the weather changes sporadically. Then you have somewhere where you're still comfortable to stay inside. There's 2 double latches on either side that you just go ahead and push up to go ahead and put that back down. But this is the table that you will use to convert it into a bed. You just take the leg out, you see the little lips on either side here. You'll just set that in there and then go ahead and conjoin the cushions. Another thing, sorry, all these little tidbits that I love about this floor plan. It's really long booth dinette, so even an adult can sleep here. It's not bound to where only kids or toddlers can sleep, so it gives you pretty much 2 extra areas of where you could sleep adults, not only kids. Another big window, and then of course, without fail, you want to have as much storage capacity anywhere and everywhere you can. And this one is nice and pass-through, carpeted on the inside to kind of help with those shaking, jigglies, and rattling while you're going down the road. This is just the curtain, so you can go ahead and give yourself some privacy. Say you do have some guests for the night, you can go ahead and close off this bed area, and then you can have, this one's always exposed, but then that bunk overhead also has a curtain. Perfect. We have our nice little booster seats. That's what I call them, just because when you swivel these around, it kind of helps level you out. You don't really need to use them, but if it makes it more comfortable for you, you have them there. And then our bunk overhead here for some extra sleeping area. I know I already kind of mentioned earlier that you have windows on either side that open up for some nice cross breeze. And then you do have some storage and a night light, and then a nice fan here to kind of suck out all the hot air, which does have the same rain sensor as the one that's in the bathroom. Alrighty, now we're just gonna go ahead and end off up front here. Perfect. Alrighty, now that our LED dash is slowly turning on, as you can see today, we have 17,991 miles, right under that 18,000 mile mark, which I told you guys in the intro. Has all the nice safety features, the nice leather steering wheel. This side will go ahead and control everything on my dash. This side will control everything that's over here for our touchscreen. Right now, sorry, it's over here on vehicle settings. Let me go back to the home page, but you have all the nice features. I'm not going to go ahead and deep dive into too much of it, but you can go ahead and go into the settings, turn off or on any of the assistants or vehicles lightings for the active lane keeping assist, which I know I mentioned to you guys earlier, your active brake assist and attention assist. You can go ahead and adjust those to your liking. So I just like to always point those out because some people think they're annoying and some people think they absolutely need them. So it kind of suits both parties there. You have your volumes, nice little buttons here just in case you prefer to have buttons. And then down below here we have our hazard lights, radio heating and cooling, and then of course plenty cup holders. And then as we're talking about cup holders and storage, that kind of reminded me of the additional cup holders that are up here. You have one for your water bottle, one for your Celsius, energy drinks, all the things. And then you do have one up here for wireless charging, and you can also plug in your phone Bluetooth as well. All right. I feel like that's pretty much going to wrap it up. If I did miss anything, you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, you guys can reach me on the information below on my clipboard, or it'll be tagged below as well. But feel free to give me a call if you'd like to schedule a test drive. Come see this for yourself. I'd be happy to give you another tour around. Or if you're interested in any other Winnebago, Renegade, or Newmar, Renegade, or Winnebago products, I'd be happy to help you out. You can give me a holler at the information below. Thanks for tuning in and have a great day.